Aloha, welcome back. We're about to embark on a new year, and so I thought I would venture outside the Tiki Triangle and into Lukekini Lounge. And the difference here is it's not going to be just about mixology and cocktails and tiki. We're going to give the craft mixology angle of this a reboot. And why? Well, unfortunately, it looks like in the new year we're facing a new crisis with the pandemic. And if you didn't learn to cook in the last lockdown, well, I'm going to give you some really super simple, easy dishes that you can make at home with everything in the pantry. And you can't always order out a cocktail. So I'm going to show you how to make some very basic cocktails at home with your own ingredients. I was walking through the supermarket today and I noticed the shelves are bare. There's a problem with the supply chain. People can't work, or they don't want to work, or they're afraid to work. So now more than ever, we got to become more self-reliant. And I just don't understand why anybody would pay $5 or $10 for a bottle of mixers that you can make at home, especially if it's something like simple syrup, or grenadine, or orgeat, or whatever the case may be. So in this very first episode, we're going to start from the beginning. And we're going to start with the most basic of any cocktail, and that's the mixers, juices, and syrups. Now, if you're just into highballs, you want a tall glass, it's very simple. Just get 2 ounces of your favorite liquor, rum, vodka, bourbon, gin, and you buy a can of your favorite soda. Do not buy anything diet. It's not good for you. You know it's not good for you. If you're worried about saving calories, buy a treadmill, go for a jog, or just don't drink cocktails. The only thing I would discourage you from buying is the ginger ale. And ginger ale is something you could very easily make at home. This is what ginger looks like, and you don't even have to peel it when you're making the ginger syrup. Just take a spoon, scrape off this outer part, and then you could cook with it if it's going to flavor any dish. If you want to make cocktails, you don't even have to peel this. Just slice it as thin as you can, and you want to use simple syrup. What's simple syrup? It's simply just 1 cup of sugar to 1 cup of water. Now, if a recipe calls for rich syrup, then you want to use 2 parts of sugar to 1 part of water. Bartenders tend to prefer a semi-rich syrup, which is simply 1.5 cups of sugar to 1 cup of water. It's going to give it a longer shelf life, and yeah, it's going to make it a little bit sweeter, but it's also going to give the drink a little bit more volume and viscosity, a little bit more thickness on the tongue. Now, if you're planning for a party, or you just want to entertain at home, or you just want a craft cocktail, and you know it's the weekend and you're going to have more than one, just, if you don't have these little things, mix simple syrup. This way you don't have to worry about it dissolving. Decide which sugar you're going to use. You want to use Demerara sugar, which is your sugar in the raw, which everybody knows, or you're going to use white sugar, and I like to use something called blonde sugar when I don't want that taste to be as strong as with the molasses sugar. You'll find that these little bottles, these will last you a month, depending on how much you drink, and you just get some masking tape and a marker, and you label it, simple syrup, 12/22/21. So at the end of January, you know if this isn't used, just toss it. These smaller bottles are going to hold about 1/2 cup, that's 4 ounces. Again, 4 ounces of sugar, 4 ounces of water, and that's what it looks like. After you've put it on the stove, you want to put it on the lowest setting, and you just want to dissolve that sugar. You don't want to cook it. You just want it to dissolve. Pour it into your jar, label it, put it in the refrigerator. These flat flasks hold about twice that much. They hold about a full cup, 8 ounces, and they fit nicely in your refrigerator door because they're flat, and it makes it easier than these round bottles. So simple syrup is going to be used in your most basic cocktails. You're going to need it for your mojito, you're going to need it for your whiskey sour, an old fashioned, and the list goes on. But those are the most basics. And if you don't have simple syrup, you don't have any of these little packets or any sugar laying around, I'm sure everybody has some maple syrup. Yes, the flavor is going to be a little bit different, but again, it's sugar. Sugar is sugar is sugar. It's going to give it a little bit different taste, but you know what? You might like that taste. And again, this is the same thing as simple syrup if you run into a jam or if you want to experiment. Now we want to talk about juices, and this is the most important thing because, again, produce at the supermarket is skyrocketing, and you don't want to buy a bag of oranges or lemons or limes and throw them out. So buy what you can and buy yourself a juicer. This thing is very economical, it's very easy to clean, and it's very easy to use. Simply cut the fruit in half, press down, and it's going to rotate on its own. Put a strainer over your Pyrex measuring cup. These are cheap. These are like $2 in the store. And you want to filter out all that pulp so you get more juice, you get out the seeds, and then what you do is you freeze them. So you have them whenever you need them. You don't have to use them all at once. I love these little Moai ice cube trays. I don't know if you could find them. They're called Stone Cold Fred. They're awesome because they look cool, but also they hold exactly 1/2 ounce each. So if a cocktail calls for 1/2 ounce of lemon juice or lime juice, whatever the case may be, you know it's 1 ice cube. And if you need an ounce, obviously use 2. Or you could go out and buy one of these, again, very cheap. These are less than $5. These hold about an ounce. But what you want to do is you want to get something that you can measure it with. And it doesn't hurt to have a jigger. You could always use a shot glass or any glass as long as you know how much it holds. And 1 to 1.5 ounces is ideal. So pour it up there. So take some water, pour it in there, and you'll see exactly the level it should be at. And then you just fill it up. Again, with these Moai guys, you just know, I know that they're 1/2 ounce. I don't even need to measure this up. I just fill them up, not to the very, very top because you don't want to spill it, but just below the mold line, and I know it's 1/2 ounce consistently every single time. And once you have these frozen juices, just get a small Tupperware container. Again, label it grapefruit juice, lemon juice, lime juice. Label when you squeezed it, and then how long these last, I don't know, because they never last that long. They never last longer than a month. But after a month, I would start to check them out. Let one dissolve, taste it. If it's incredibly acidic or sour, you might want to toss it and start over again. But this is the way you could easily have your own home bar, and you don't need something elaborate. You could use these things. They work. I use them all the time for single servings. The problem is that when you squeeze this, you're also squeezing a lot of the pith and the oil from the skin in with it. That can change the flavor of the cocktail. It can make the cocktail a little bit more sour. When you're getting those oils in there, they can be quite strong. Sometimes you want those oils in there, but not all the time. And again, if you're having a small get-together, or you and your spouse want to sit down and have a couple of drinks and watch a movie, this is the better way to go. Because this way, every single time you're not squeezing one of these and making a mess just to make one cocktail at a time. Squeeze your juice, keep it in the refrigerator, date it, and what you don't use within a few hours, freeze. And the reason why I say freeze it is because limes tend to go more sour more quickly. So if I squeeze a lime, I know that's good for about 6 hours. After that, you definitely want to freeze it, put it in a Tupperware, put it in the freezer, save it for tomorrow. Otherwise, that acid in there just cooks everything, including itself, and it's going to be very, very sour and very, very tart. Now, when I'm in the store, I'm looking at these bottles, and it says simple syrup, but it doesn't even contain sugar. It contains corn syrup, and it contains benzoate. And if you want these cocktail cherries, I even saw sulfur dioxide in there. It's been a long time since I had high school chemistry, but sulfur dioxide, I don't think that sounds like something I want to be eating or drinking. And when you're making your syrup, use spring water. It doesn't have to be this brand. Use whatever brand you like. This costs 10 cents, and if you're going to be making a lot more of it, buy a gallon of it, if you could find it. I was in the supermarket this morning, and the shelves, not only were the shelves bare of water, but the price of water went up 25 cents a gallon literally overnight. That's your basics: mixers, juices, and syrups. There are a lot of other syrups out there. I'm going to show them to you now. There's Grenadine. Don't buy the nuclear red version you see on the shelf. This stuff is so easy to make, and it's a fraction of the cost, and it's going to taste way better, and it's what the professionals do. What they're charging you, $15, $20 for a cocktail in these craft cocktail bars, you're going to be able to do the very same thing at home, and you're going to see how easy it is. Until we could get back out there and start enjoying life and going out and socializing and mingling, there's absolutely nothing wrong with staying home and enjoying a cocktail and watching a movie with your spouse, your significant other, your cat, your dog, whatever. It's just not safe at this time of year to go out. Not with the surge, not with people being irresponsible. Until the next episode, mahalo, cheers, and a healthy, happy 2022.